Hello everyone, I'm Nina Contento and I'm here with Alexis Johnston, the Graduate Coordinator of Service Learning, Volunteerism, and Community Engagement here at Rowan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. So you went to Rowan, you're a graduate, you're studying your master's now.
Yes.
What's it like working on your master's degree and working at Rowan?
It's a little challenging. I like that my office is really flexible. It's not one of those sort of desk jobs. I can kind of do my job anywhere, and I'm not at a desk a lot of times. I'm out on projects, so it's actually really nice.
So tell me about like your day-to-day here at Rowan.
Day-to-day is very different. Depends on what project we're going on. We currently work with about 8 different organizations, and I run the weekly projects. So every week for the entire school year, we have at least 2 volunteer projects going along. Not only do I organize them, I take the students to them. So I can be working with children one day, at an animal shelter another day, playing bingo with the elderly another day. It always keeps me on my toes.
That's always a fun thing to do. I love that whole energy.
Yeah.
What made you want to take on the job as volunteer coordinator?
What made me take it on is, in undergrad, I worked really closely with the commuter office, and the commuter office is right next to the volunteer office. So I saw a lot of things they were doing, and as I was graduating, they were like, hey, this position's open, like, you would be great for it. So I applied for it and got it. And it really fits who I am because, like, even in high school, I was really big into volunteering. Like, the Ronald McDonald house, I volunteered for them, and I worked for them in one of their satellite rooms. So I kind of brought that along with me to this position to help out with the Ronald McDonald house.
Well, so you were just saying you worked at the Ronald McDonald House. You were a room assistant?
Yes.
What was your favorite part about working with them?
My favorite part about being a room assistant is seeing how something small, like a cup of water, will like brighten the family's day. The unit I work in is a NICU, so there's usually really sick babies in there. And the room is set up exactly like a house. So it's inside the unit, inside the hospital, but you walk in this room and you feel completely at home. And it's something that I guess I would have taken for granted, but like these families really truly appreciate it. Like they get so excited to just be able to come in the room, sit on the couch, watch TV, but be so close to their baby. So if anything happens, they're right there, but they're not in the stressful, like harsh environment of a hospital.
Right, so you guys kind of help provide that comfort zone for them. Did you have any major influences while you were at the while you are at the Ronald McDonald House that you work with? Like any other people that you work alongside of? Anybody that was able to like guide you as you started out there?
Dawn Ellis, she manages the rooms. Like she was really helpful because I went into it not knowing anything, and like the first day I went there, she made sure that like I knew what I was doing, where all the stuff was. If there's any problems, I can email her and she'll get back to me right away. Like she's just really helpful.
Have you been able to give anybody else any advice, like working in the volunteer field that you learned from maybe some of your other influences?
I guess it would be just to take a risk. Like me getting this job and all the volunteer opportunities I've had were just me going up and saying like, hey, I would really like to work with this field. Like, is there something available? And 90% of the time they're going to say yes. People like when you want to help out, even if it's just an hour a week, they really appreciate the help. So if there's something you're really interested in, you should just go after it and ask, even if it's not necessarily think it's an opportunity. Like if you ask, they can create opportunities for you if you're really, really interested.
So what was your favorite experience so far working at Rowan as a volunteer coordinator?
That's tough. I would say one of the more interesting experiences when we played bingo. I never realized how much the elderly like bingo. They get really into it. Some of them even have their own cards, and you have to be really specific when you hand them out, or they get really upset because they have that lucky card that they want. SPCA, I love going there because all the animals are just like so happy to see you. I really like all our programs.
That's really cool. So you were telling me about how you're younger working in the field, and give me a little bit of an insight on how it is working with people like all age groups.
Working with all age groups, it's interesting. I am one of the younger people in my field, so it's really interesting when I go on a project and the volunteers are older than me. At first it was a hard dynamic for me to learn. Just because like you're so used to the authority person being older, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? But you kind of grow into it. You kind of take it on as like a role of like, yes, I'm at your level and I'm your friend, but like I am ultimately in charge. So like you're there to have a good time and connect with all these people. But if something goes wrong or if like people are misbehaving, you have to have that air about you that they will take you seriously when you say enough's enough.
Right. So is it difficult gaining that respect, or is it just something that kind of comes along with the groups that you've worked with?
I would say at first it was difficult. I come from like a really sheltered family, so for me just to be authoritative in general was hard, but once I got the hang of it, it was really easy. Like once I figured it out, it took some trial and error, but once I got down how I was supposed to feel and what I was supposed to do, I was okay.
Can you give any advice for students coming up, working in maybe the volunteer field, or just coming and looking for internships and whatnot? Because you're still here at Rowan working with us, so it's still close to you, close to home. Could you give anybody any advice?
My advice is to pick something that you really, really are interested in and try to go small. I find that the best experience you get is when you go to an organization that's on the smaller side. You get more hands-on experience. Like my office is only 3 people, and then we have 3 student workers. So it's very hands-on. You're involved in all the decisions being made, all the work, and you really get to know like what it is to be in a volunteer role or a coordinator or whatever position you take on.
Now, have you been involved with any other internships so far?
Yeah, I interned for in human resources for Evesham Township, so that's also a very small place to work at. I am again in an office of 3 people, so you get extreme hands-on experience.
What was your day-to-day like for that?
It's different. Every time I go in, sometimes you're doing new hire packets, sometimes you're doing orientation. Today I got to write out checks, which was like, this is a multi-million-dollar corporation, and they're saying like, here you go, write out this check. So it's a very unique experience.
So like, here's your responsibility on a platter, like do something with it.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that you got to have that experience. Was that experience really valuable in working with the volunteer at Rowan?
Yes, it is really valuable. Any experience is valuable, but when you're in that close-knit, like tight offices, it's extra valuable because you're learning about just everything. Like it's almost like a family in these offices because it is so small. Mm-hmm. So you're getting the technical experience, but you're also getting like hands-on advice. Like, this is what happened when I was in your position, and this is what I think you should do, which is not something you're always going to get if you go somewhere bigger.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure meeting you and a pleasure being able to sit down and have you answer some of my questions.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed your time here.
Yeah.
Now let's see what's coming up next at the Ronald McDonald, or see what's coming up next with the RTN Annual Telethon.